Good morning, good evening, everyone. I'm Anusha, and I will be your host for today's interview. In today's interview, we have a special guest, Himanshu Dayal. He hails from Pune and he carries an experience of 24 years. So, without even taking more of time here, I'm just going to pass the baton to Himanshu. So, Himanshu, could you please let us know something, about yourself first, and how much experience do you have, and details in your professional life?
Sure. Hello, Anusha. Hello, everyone.
Thanks.
So, I have 24 years of IT industry experience. Uh, Education-wise, I'm a BTech Computer Science and Engineering, and then I worked in telecom industry, ERP industry, and recruitment industry. I have worked in service industries, service companies, consulting companies, and product development companies such as IBM, Oracle, Tech Mahindra, Buildersoft, etc. And I am involved in PMP. I did my PMP in 2014, and yeah, so since then I am getting the benefits of being a PMP certified.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's about myself in a nutshell.
All right, thank you. So, 24 years of experience, you might have a broad spectrum of domains you have worked in. So,
Definitely, yes.
okay. So, to start with, I'm gonna, ask few questions, and for the audience to understand how did you crack the PMP exam, and how the experience was for you. So, so in the very first place, why did you decide to go for PMP certification?
So there are various reasons.
Hmm.
First of all, I think the most important is widespread recognition of
Okay.
PMP certification in the industry. Second is demand in the market.
Hmm.
If especially you want to go up in the ladder in corporate jobs, definitely it helps. And then I also wanted to have authentic source of learning for various tools and techniques to be
Hmm.
used in the daily job. And there is a networking opportunity that we get once we are PMP certified. We get various networking opportunities in local chapters with PMI directly as well. That is something that I also wanted to explore. So that's those are some of the reasons I would say why I wanted to go for PMP certification.
All right. So very well said there. When it comes to global recognition, PMP is a certification, which is globally renowned. So anybody and everybody can figure out a person, or you are apart from that lot when it comes to PMP certification. So that's a very valid point there. Okay. So moving forward, uh, how did you plan your PMP preparation? What was the planning process? What did you do when you knew that you're about to give PMP certification?
Okay, so I would start from the first step, which was getting the training for
Mhm,
PMP.
mhm,
So the planning started from getting the training. The advantage of getting the training is that it clears the concepts related to PMP certification, PMP exam, the questions that are being asked. So that's
mhm,
one thing that I did. And then I also did self preparation, quite a lot of self preparation that is required. So I read PMBOK, I read their other books also. I created self notes, uh, attempted mock tests, full length mock tests. That also helped. Prepared the plan first of all, like what needs to be done, how to proceed with the preparation. So prepare the plan for every day and daily, weekly plan, and then worked out that plan. So I would say that is something that is very important. Then also once you take the mock test and once you take up the questions, then going back to the questions and checking whether if there is any question that is wrong, why that is wrong, checking that. Also, one more very important thing to plan the PMP preparation was to book the exam date. That's something that without that, PMP preparation is quite difficult, I would say. So you book the exam and then work backwards. So that's something that I did, and that really helped.
So, according to you, how much time a professional should give to PMP preparation in a day?
2 hours to 2 to 3 hours is sufficient if you have a margin of, let's say, 2 months, 1.5 to 2 months. Then 2 to 3 hours every day is sufficient to prepare completely for PMP exam. This is apart from giving the full length mock tests.
All right. So, would you mind telling us how long was your PMP preparation duration?
Okay, my PMP preparation was a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is because I was also in my regular job and I was preparing for PMP. So I took 6 months to prepare for exam, and the reason why I took that long was that I started preparing for PMP, and in 2 months I was completely prepared. But I didn't book the exam. I was thinking of booking the exam, and then I had to go out of the country because of work. So for next 3 months I was outside the country, and then when I came back I started preparing again. So first thing that I did was I booked the exam after 1 month, and then I prepared for 1 month, and then I gave. So it took me 6 months uh, after my preparation started, and by the time I appeared and cleared the exam.
All right. And I think 6 months are very, valid or genuine time period because if we are working professional, we might need some time. And even if
True.
people say that 3 months of time is okay or 2 months of time is okay, it entirely depends on individuals, is what I understand.
Definitely, that's very correct. I'm sure, yeah.
So moving on to another question, what was the most challenging part of your preparation?
The most challenging part, I would say, in the top of the list, it would be fixing the exam date. That was the
Mhm.
most challenging part. This is something that I would suggest everyone who is preparing for the exam should start thinking of. That date can be 3 months, 6 months, or maybe 8 months from now, but we should fix a date and then work backwards. So that was the most challenging part. Then remembering the ITTOs, I cleared the exam in 2014. At that time, there were some direct questions that used to come, which is not the case right now. So remembering the ITTOs was very challenging. Then there were some methods that I had to practice a lot. For example, critical path method or earned value method. They were pretty tricky. There were a lot of formulas which you have to remember and practice. So that is something. And yes, the one more challenging aspect was sitting continuously for 4 hours and giving the exam. That is something that is really challenging, especially if you are away from giving the exams for last 10 years, 15 years, or maybe 20 years. That's one of the most challenging part. I still remember the first time when I took the mock test, I couldn't complete the 4 hours. So that's something that we need to really practice.
All right. So now there is a bit of change in the way we give the exam. So PMP now
Yes.
provides a 10 minutes of break, 10 minutes of break in those 4 hours of duration, so that people who cannot sit for 4 hours, and I think all of us cannot
Yes. Yes.
continuously, yeah. While we have left that part of ourselves, that part where we used to study and sit for hours, Now that we are professional, it become really difficult to sit on the chair for 4 hours continuously and work on or maybe think around something. So for
True.
that, I think PMP has made a different or made some changes there. So now PMI provides 2 minutes, 10 minutes of two breaks in this 4 hours of duration.
Yes,
So
Anusha,
that,
and this is
yeah.
something that was very much required, I would say, and it's
Mhm.
a big relief for everybody who is taking the PMP now. So they can, and it's optional. So it's not that
Yeah,
you have to take it. If you want, you can take it, and I would suggest that everybody should take that 10 minutes break. It refreshes your mind.
definitely. So moving on to the other question, which all materials did you go through when you were preparing for PMP?
So I read few materials. First thing I read PMBOK version 5. That time it was version 5. So I read PMBOK version 5. Then Rita Mulcahy's exam prep guide. That really helped because PMBOK is official publication of PMI and is having very terse knowledge.
Mhm.
So the explanation is given in Rita Mulcahy very nicely. So that helps along with the questions that it has. Also, there was one more book, Head First, PMP Preparation Guide. So these three books that I read for my PMP preparation.
Okay. Did you go through any simulator? I mean, did you give? I know that you told me that you used to give mock test, but anything apart
Yes.
from that?
I didn't go through any paid simulators. I
Mhm.
went through all the available questions and mock tests that were available free of cost at that time.
Mhm.
So didn't go through any specific simulator as such.
Okay. So, according to you, PMBOK is something which, if there's a person who is a PMP aspirant, he or she should go to PMBOK, like go through it thoroughly, and then should they shift to another book, or is it that Rita and PMBOK can go together? What do you think? According to you, should be the way of studying?
Yeah, that's very good question because the scenario has changed since I have cleared the exam. So, keeping in mind current scenario, I would suggest PMBOK alone is not sufficient. Yes, PMBOK version 6 and 7 both should be read. Now we don't need to cram them. We need to understand the concept. Also, there are few agile related books that we should read, like Agile Practice Guide or Essential Scrum. These are the books that we should read, and then if required we can go for some other publication like Rita Mulcahy or Head First, any one publication if required. It depends again on person to person how they grasp, what is their experience level, and whether they have experience on project management or not, because that also helps.
Mhm. Okay. So, any do's and don'ts, tips for PMP preparation?
Definitely. So first I'll cover some do's.
Mhm.
First is that we should take full length mock tests. And when we take those full length mock tests, we should keep the environment almost similar to what it will be in the real exam as much as possible. That
Mhm.
helps because that environment itself freaks few people out. So we need to have that environment. Second is we should spend good enough time on questions that we do not do correct. We should not haste on that. That really helps. So if we have done certain questions and we didn't do that correctly, we should walk through those questions why we didn't do them correctly. So what went wrong, whether we didn't read that one particular word, that what is the first thing we should do, what is the best option we should have, what not to consider, those kind of things. Whether we were thinking something else, we were not concentrating enough, we didn't read the question, we were in a hurry to go to the next question. What was the reason? So we should go through that very diligently. Then we should also take the test, same test again, and see what is the improvement that happened. And even then, if we have some questions incorrect, then we should again walk them through. So that helps. Also, limit the reading material. There is so much of material out there. We need to limit the reading material as much as possible, and also focus on concepts rather than cramming the books. Another tools that the people who are taking the preparation they can do is that take care of do's and don'ts for online testing. If you are planning to take test online at your home, there are certain do's and don'ts that PMI publishes, and there is a video on PMI website itself which gives very good idea of what do's and don'ts we have to follow. So that is something we need to take care of. Prepare your own notes. Definitely always helps. We should always prepare those notes. I also prepared the notes, which really helped. And do as many questions as possible. That increases the understanding. That also increases the focus on which area we are weak and where we need to focus on further. And last but definitely not the least, have confidence on yourself. So these are some of the do's I would say.
So, before you move to the don'ts, uh, the first do which you said that we should create an environment around us, similar to what we will, face on the day of the exam.
Yeah.
So, any tips wherein people can control their anxiety, because there are a lot of people who are anxious when they are giving the exam or nervous when on the day of the exam. So, any tips on that particular day?
Take good sleep, take good
Mhm.
rest before the exam. Very important to keep your mind fresh. And again, this is something that is person to person, but I prefer not to read anything on the exam day. You have read what you have read. Keep your mind clear, keep your mind relaxed on the exam day. Also, if you are taking the mock test at home, then be in a closed room, be in uh, a place where nobody can disturb you at all in that 4 hour time, and try to simulate those intervals also. So keep that timer for 10 minutes, and when you go for break, and be strict to yourself, be true to yourself that you will not go back to the first set. Once you have submitted the set and you have went for the break and you have started the second set, don't go for the first set because it's natural tendency, nobody is seeing, we can always go back. Try to avoid that, try to be strict, try to be true to yourself. That helps.
Yeah, I think that's those tips are going to definitely help the aspirants who are going to, look into this or see this interview, and they might get a better understanding of what they need to do on the day of the exam. Yeah. So yes, you were telling us about the don'ts as well for the PMP exam or preparation.
I would not say much of don'ts, but some of them are that avoid reading too much of material. There is so much of material out there, so many questions, so much material. Avoid reading too much of material. Stick to specific material to be read, and read that particular material maybe multiple times if required, but avoid reading too many books, too much of material. Also, don't delay fixing exam date. Fix the exam date, register for the exam, put your money in it. Once you put your money in the exam, in the registration, then that seriousness automatically comes, and that
True.
helps clearing the exam. So plan backwards and don't cram the books. These days there are no direct questions that will come. It's all situational questions that comes. So understand the concepts. No mathematical question will come. So you have to understand the formulas, understand the concept for the formulas, but you may not be required to apply those formulas in the exam. So keep that in mind and then prepare.
All right. So I know that you have told it in previously that you have completed your PMP in 2014. So just wanted to know how did this certification help you so far in your career?
I can tell that very well because it's been 8 years since I cleared PMP certification and it helped immensely. So I have 24 years of IT industry experience and PMP is one certification, first of all, which is across industries. So it's not only specifically for IT, it is for every industry. And personally, it helped me in every single interview I appeared in since 2014. Especially the templates that are available from PMI, they are very useful. I have been using them still till today. I'm using at least one template every 2 months, I would say. Minimum of at least once in 2 months, I'm using the templates. I'm going there and searching the templates and then using them. Very useful. Also, you don't have to prove your expertise level because you have that certification and it's active if you have it active. So you don't have to prove your expertise on project management. You are already proven at a certain level that you have that particular knowledge of certification. And these days, Agile is also included in the PMP certification. So if you are PMP certified, everybody knows that you have both Agile and predictive methodology knowledge, and you will be able to succeed in that. Also, it helps in increasing your confidence. So that's also very important. I would say these are some of the major areas where this certification definitely helped me.
Okay. So when you say that this certification has helped you so far, would you recommend or would you say that PMP certification is a certification which basically separate the professionals who are PMP certified from that lot of project managers or professionals? Is that a true statement according to you?
Absolutely true statement. That definitely separates out the person who is PMP certified from those who are not certified because it certifies, it shows that you already have that kind of experience and knowledge and understanding. And also, you know those best practices, those tools that can be used in various situations during your project execution.
So I think this was it. Your the knowledge or the information which you have provided. I'm sure it's going to help the folks who are about to give their PMP exam or who are PMP aspirants. Before we wrap up, any words of wisdom for the folks who are out there, studying for PMP every day, or maybe struggling between the inputs and outputs, and different kind of processes. So, any words of wisdom for those people?
We already discussed a lot of words of wisdom, but yeah, in the end, I would definitely say that everyone out there who is preparing for PMP, they are also into their day jobs. So at times, this is not an easy exam. So at times, you may feel overwhelmed. At times, you may feel like giving up. At times, you may feel, what's the point of doing all this? But I would suggest that stick to it, complete this process, and be certified. PMP certification is the most widespread certification for project management in the world, and it definitely will help in your career. So be at it, clear the exam. It will also help you increase your confidence level, boost your confidence level. So definitely, that's something that I would suggest everyone.
All right. So that is it. Thank you, Himanshu, for all the information you have provided.
Thank you, Anusha.